Stop memorizing psychological tricks to get people to like you. Stop watching endless podcasts telling you how to become a high-value man so that you never have to hear the word no again. Stop thinking that if you just get rich enough, get jacked enough, or buy the right clothes, you will build a magical shield that protects your ego from being shattered. I am going to tell you the brutal, unfiltered truth about why rejection destroys you. It is going to sting, but it is the exact truth you need to hear to finally be free. The modern dating coaches, the alpha male influencers, and the hustle culture gurus have sold you a devastating, toxic lie about how human connection works. They have convinced you that rejection is a math problem. They tell you it is a numbers game. They tell you that if you just approach 100 women or send 1,000 cold emails, the sting of the no will eventually fade. They tell you that if someone rejects you, it is simply because you haven't optimized your life enough. You just need a better car. You just need a better jawline. You just need a more aggressive mindset. It is a complete scam. It is a psychological trap designed to keep you insecure, constantly consuming their content, and constantly running on a hamster wheel of self-improvement that has no finish line. You are acting like a beggar dressing up in a tuxedo, wondering why you still feel empty when someone hands you a coin. You know exactly the pain I am talking about. You feel it in the very center of your chest. You meet someone you actually care about. You let your guard down. You send that text message putting yourself out there. And then you wait. You stare at the glowing screen of your phone. You watch the 3 little dots appear and then disappear. And then the message comes through. It's cold. It's distant. Or worse, the message never comes at all. You are left on read. You are ghosted. In that exact fraction of a second, your entire reality collapses. Your stomach drops into a bottomless pit. A hot wave of shame washes over your neck and face. Your heart rate spikes. Your breathing becomes shallow. You haven't been physically harmed. You are sitting completely safe in your own bedroom. But biologically, your nervous system is reacting as if you have just been exiled from the tribe and left to die in the freezing wilderness. Your brain instantly starts attacking you. It tells you that you are not enough. It tells you that you are ugly. It tells you that you are a failure. It replays every single mistake you made in the interaction. I shouldn't have said that. I came on too strong. If I had just waited 20 minutes to reply, I would have had the upper hand. You spiral into a simulation of regret and self-hatred. And what do you do to fix it? You turn to the modern playbook. You try to numb the pain with anger. You tell your friends, she wasn't that great anyway. You tell yourself that the employer who rejected your resume is an idiot who doesn't recognize true talent. You put on a mask of pure arrogance to cover up a bleeding, fragile ego. Or, you go to the gym and lift weights until you want to vomit, trying to forcefully punish your body into becoming so attractive that no one will ever dare reject you again. But it doesn't work, does it? Because 3 weeks later, it happens again. Another rejection. Another ghosting. Another missed promotion. And the exact same cycle of agony starts all over again. You are exhausted. You are burning through your most valuable asset, your psychological energy, trying to control something that is fundamentally impossible to control. You are trying to control the minds, preferences, and perceptions of other human beings. You are a prisoner to the opinions of strangers. You have handed the remote control to your emotional state over to people who do not care if you live or die. And here is the darkest, most undeniable law of human psychology. If your confidence requires a yes to survive, it is not confidence. It is dependence. If your sense of worth shatters the moment a woman walks away, or a boss passes you over, then you have zero self-worth. You only have market worth. And the market is volatile, cruel, and completely blind to your humanity. If you are finally sick and tired of living at the mercy of other people's approval, and you are ready to build an identity made of concrete instead of glass, then hit subscribe right now. We are about to completely tear down your modern conditioning and install an ancient, unbreakable psychological operating system. Let's look at the men who actually understood how to dominate reality. The men who did not need a podcast to teach them how to be strong. The Stoics. They did not fear rejection. They actively expected it. They used it. They weaponized it. Think about Cato the Younger. One of the most fierce, respected, and unbending Stoic philosophers in the Roman Republic. He was a man of absolute principle. And because of his principles, he was hated by corrupt politicians. He was constantly rejected by the mob. There is a famous story where Cato was walking through the forum, and the crowd turned on him. They disagreed with his politics. They didn't just reject his ideas. They rejected him physically. They spat on him. They threw garbage at him. They stripped the toga from his body and pushed him through the dirt. For a modern man, this would be the ultimate trauma. A modern man would need 10 years of therapy to recover from being publicly humiliated and rejected by his entire city. A modern man would write a victim piece on social media. A modern man would change his entire personality to make sure the mob never did that to him again. What did Cato do? He stood up. He wiped the spit off his face. And he laughed. He didn't laugh to hide the pain. He laughed because he genuinely found the situation absurd. He understood a foundational truth that your modern dating coach is completely blind to. The crowd's behavior is a reflection of the crowd. It has absolutely nothing to do with Cato. Cato's value was not assigned by the people spitting on him. Cato's value was generated entirely from within. When you get rejected by a woman, or by a job, or by a social circle, you are secretly making a desperate, pathetic contract with the universe. You are saying, I do not know who I am, so I need this person to tell me. You are looking for external input to define your internal reality. You are taking a random human being, someone with their own trauma, their own bizarre preferences, their own chaotic past, and you are making them the ultimate judge of your existence. Do you realize how insane that is? You are letting someone who barely knows themselves tell you who you are. The Stoics realized that attaching your peace of mind to the preferences of others is a form of voluntary slavery. Think about Epictetus. He was a slave. His literal body was rejected from the category of humanity. He was considered property. He was lame in one leg because his master had broken it for amusement. Society had rejected him in the most brutal, absolute way possible. But his mind was infinitely more sovereign than yours. Why? Because Epictetus drew a massive, uncompromising line in the sand the moment he woke up every single morning. The dichotomy of control. He stated that there are things completely outside of our control: our bodies, our reputations, our wealth, our bosses, the economy, the weather, and most importantly, the opinions of other people. And there are things entirely within our control: our judgments, our impulses, our desires, and our aversions. When you are devastated by a rejection, you are completely blurring that line. You are actively trespassing into someone else's mind. You are demanding that another human being feel a certain way about you. You are trying to dictate their desires. Epictetus would look at a modern man crying over a text message and he would feel pity. He would say, "You are a fool. You are trying to rule a kingdom that does not belong to you. You cannot force someone to find you attractive. You cannot force a company to see your value. They belong to the realm of the external. They are outside the wall of your citadel. And you wonder why you feel paralyzed with anxiety before you talk to someone. You wonder why you stutter, why your palms sweat, why you put on a fake persona. It is because you are carrying the psychological weight of trying to manipulate the future. You are trying to engineer an outcome that you have absolutely zero actual control over. You have to understand that rejection is not an event. Rejection is a perception. Let's break down the actual biology and psychology of what happens when a woman tells you no. She says, "I'm not interested." That is the first arrow. The first arrow is simply acoustic vibrations traveling through the air, hitting your eardrum. Or pixels lighting up on a glass screen. That is reality. That is the objective event. Someone expressed a preference that did not include you. But that first arrow does not cause the agony in your chest. The agony is caused by the second arrow. And the second arrow is fired by you. The second arrow is the story you instantly invent about what the first arrow means. She says, "I'm not interested." Your second arrow says, "I am unlovable. I am going to die alone. I am not attractive enough. I am a loser." You are stabbing yourself in the chest and blaming her for the bleeding. The Stoic trains himself to dodge the second arrow. The Stoic hears, "I'm not interested." And the Stoic says, "Okay. This person is not interested. Period. End of sentence. No story. No narrative. No collapse of self-worth. Just a simple, clean, mathematical observation of reality. This requires you to violently sever ties with the fragile, ego-driven persona you have spent years building. That persona is not a mark of strength. It is a defense mechanism. You built the muscles, you bought the watch, and you memorized the pickup lines because you are deeply afraid of being seen as you actually are. You are terrified of vulnerability. Because in vulnerability, you might actually be rejected for your true self. But vulnerability is the forge where true power is manufactured. If you run from rejection every day by putting up a fake, untouchable front, you are signaling to yourself that your true self is unacceptable. You must stop viewing rejection as a failure of your performance. You must view rejection as a highly efficient filtering mechanism. Let's talk about the most destructive belief you hold right now about dating and networking. Your belief that a yes is a victory and a no is a defeat. You view every interaction as a performance where you must win the prize. It doesn't make you a winner. It makes you a chameleon. It trains your brain that your sole purpose for existing is to say whatever is necessary to extract approval from the person in front of you. When you bend your personality to make someone like you, you are creating a massive biological and psychological disconnect. You are lying. You are trapping yourself in a character that you will now have to play for the rest of the relationship. You are building a house on a foundation of sand, and you are terrified of the wind. The Stoic looks at the exact same interaction, drops the performance, and chooses a terrifyingly simple alternative. Radical authenticity. No scripts. No manipulation. No manufactured charm. Just you, your principles, and the absolute reality of who you are. That authenticity will feel agonizing to you at first. Your ego will scream at you to put the mask back on. It will tell you that if you show your real opinions, your real quirks, your real boundaries, people will walk away. Let them walk away. Hold the line. Let your ego throw a tantrum. Its withdrawal from cheap external validation is not your problem. When you hold this authenticity, you will watch the majority of people reject you. And you will celebrate it. You will watch the fog clear on its own. Because every time someone rejects your true self, they are saving you years of wasted time. They are doing you a massive favor. They are voluntarily removing themselves from your life because they are not aligned with your reality. A rejection is not a loss of value. It is a clash of alignments. If you offer a piece of raw steak to a horse, the horse will reject it. Does that mean the steak is worthless? Does that mean the steak needs to read a self-help book on how to be more like an apple? No. It means the horse is a herbivore. The preference of the horse does not dictate the objective nature of the steak. The modern world steals your peace because you are acting like a piece of meat trying to convince herbivores to eat you. You must stop negotiating your nature. Marcus Aurelius, the emperor of the known world, commanded armies and managed an empire. He dealt with plagues, economic collapse, and the constant threat of war. But the most painful thing he dealt with was a rejection from his closest ally. His top general, a man named Avidius Cassius, betrayed him. Cassius started a rumor that Marcus was dead, declared himself emperor, and stole half the empire. It was the ultimate betrayal. The ultimate rejection of Marcus as a leader and a friend. Marcus had the power to immediately crush him. He had the power to be furious, to let his ego demand bloody revenge. He could have felt humiliated in front of the entire Roman world. Instead, he commanded immense power precisely because he refused to let Cassius' betrayal dictate his internal rhythm. He gathered his troops and gave a speech. He didn't call Cassius a monster. He didn't play the victim. He said that this was an opportunity to show the world how a Roman emperor forgives. He viewed the betrayal not as a personal failure, but as a test of his own philosophical framework. He wrote in his journal, to be like the cliff against which the waves continually break, standing firm and taming the fury of the water around it. He didn't view rejection as an insult. He viewed it as weather. You view someone ignoring your text as a tragedy. You view a girl saying no at a bar as a devastating blow to your manhood. You are handing over the most valuable asset you possess, your emotional stability, to people who do not even know your middle name. The Stoic reclaims this energy through a fundamental shift in identity. Right now, your identity is entangled with your success rate. You think you are your conquests. You think you are your job title. You think you are the number of people who desire you. So when you face a no, your nervous system reacts as if it is a threat to your biological survival. You need to sever that connection entirely. You are not the women who like you. You are not the companies that hire you. You are not your Instagram followers. You are the awareness that observes those things. You are your character. You are your ability to reason. You are your integrity. That is it. When you internalize this, a terrifying, beautiful freedom washes over you. You stop acting out of a desperate need to acquire, and you start acting out of deep, intentional alignment. When you finally walk up to someone to introduce yourself, you no longer ask yourself, what do I need to say to make them like me? You ask yourself, let me find out if this person's character aligns with mine. And then you act on it. Even if it means they walk away. Even if it means you go home alone. Because you value your own alignment with truth more than you value the artificial comfort of a forced connection. The problem is not that you lack confidence. The problem is that you are applying your confidence to the wrong metric. You are highly confident in your ability to worry. You are incredibly consistent at people-pleasing. You are a master at analyzing why you aren't good enough. You need to redirect that exact same mental energy toward defending your inner citadel. I want you to look at the absolute worst-case scenario. What if you ask for what you want, you show exactly who you are, and every single person you meet this month rejects you? What if you are told no 50 times in a row? Confront that fear head-on. Would your physical body instantly collapse? Would your lungs stop processing oxygen? Would the global economy shatter because someone didn't want to go on a date with you? No. The world would keep spinning perfectly fine without their validation. You would survive. You would still have your mind. You would still have your virtues. You would still have your ability to choose your next action. The moment you truly, deeply realize in your bones that you do not need a yes to survive, your entire aura changes. You stop radiating frantic, needy energy. You stop vibrating with the anxious frequency of a salesman trying to hit a quota. You start walking through the world with the unshakable, terrifying gravity of a sovereign individual. You are there to observe reality, not to beg reality for a favor. This doesn't mean you become arrogant, cold, or isolated from the world. In fact, it is the exact opposite. When you are no longer operating from a place of chronic, rejection-induced panic, you can actually connect with people with devastating authenticity. But it is the connection of a king, not the frantic grasping of a peasant. You can love people freely because you choose to, not because you are afraid of what will happen to your ego if they don't love you back. You can pursue ambition to build something great, not to prove to your high school bullies that you are worthy. The modern dating and business world is a game of psychological leverage. And the ultimate leverage is the willingness to walk away from a bad deal without looking back. If you are not willing to protect your mind when you hear the word no, then you have already surrendered your entire life to the mob. You must stop negotiating your sovereignty. You must stop hoping that if you just learn the right psychological tricks, you will eventually unlock a life without rejection. You will never avoid rejection by looking outward and adapting your mask. Immunity to rejection comes entirely from within. Reality does not owe you a seamless interaction, and other people certainly do not owe you their time, their bodies, or their approval. You are entirely, completely responsible for the state of your own consciousness. People will steal exactly as much of your emotional stability as your boundaries allow them to. If your mind is an open door, every random stranger's opinion will walk in with muddy shoes and ruin your living room. If your mind is a wall of concrete, the world's opinions will be forced to break against the stone until they recede back into the ocean. Stop complaining about how lonely or frustrated you are when you are actively inviting the opinions of strangers to dictate your heartbeat every single day. Your anxiety, your fear of approaching, your chronic sense of inadequacy, they are not signs that you need a new wardrobe or a better pickup line. They are an alarm system. They are your biology screaming at you that you are living out of alignment. That you are shrinking your incredible, sovereign human potential to fit into a tiny, fragile box constructed by the fleeting preferences of other people. Listen to the alarm. Stop trying to game human interaction with cheap routines and empty optimizations. Shatter the illusion that a successful life requires universal approval. Plant your feet in the absolute truth of your own self-sufficiency. Reclaim the territory of your own mind. The sovereign power you are looking for is waiting on the other side of your willingness to be completely, utterly, and happily rejected. Stop letting the word no dictate the rhythm of your life. Let them walk away. And watch how firmly you are still standing.